A lot of men out there think that because they just provide and just because they walk in the door that they're somehow successful at being a father or being a husband. When in reality, that's like the base level of how they should actually be showing up as a man. And for all those that are pissed off at me, I don't really care. Because that's who I was. I was the one that did that. Did the narcissist ever love me? Probably one of the most popular questions that people wonder after the relationship has fallen apart. You've caught him cheating, you've caught him running away with the mistress, you've caught him like not caring about you anymore, but it seemed like he did at the beginning. The question is, was it all a lie? Like, was it all fake? Like, if you found yourself wondering like if the love you ever got from him was genuine. Like, do you struggle with the idea that the person who hurt you may have never truly cared about you? A lot of times people are looking for answers to help them move on from toxic relationships, and part of it is wondering like, did this person actually care, or have I just been believing a lie? One of the things I want you to understand is that a narcissist cares about typically one thing, and that's the mask. The mask that they actually put out there. Not even themselves, because they don't actually practice self-care or self-love in the aspect of working on themselves and growing and changing and developing, but just themselves. We're going to dive into that a little bit today, but before we do, I want to make sure you understand who you're talking to. My name's Ben Taylor, and I'm a narcissist. So I come from a unique perspective of saying this is what the narcissist does because this is what I've done. This is what I struggle on doing. This is the part of understanding what a narcissist is thinking and understanding and feeling in the moments and what that actually looks like. Because this question, do they actually love? Many people that have been in a relationship with a narcissist question whether that love they received was actual genuine. Was it actually real? Narcissists have a way of making you feel like special, loved, adored at the beginning of the relationship, where you feel like you're on cloud nine. You feel like it's the greatest relationship ever, that you all are soulmates, that you all are bound together, that it's the best thing ever. And then as time goes on, the true colors start to show, and you're left wondering if the love you received was ever real at all. So I want to explore the truth behind narcissist actions to help you understand whether they ever loved you or not. So, understanding narcissistic personality disorder. It's like just understanding what it looks like, understanding about it. I'm not going to dive into the nuts and bolts, but to understand whether narcissists ever loved you, it's important to understand their personality traits. A lot of times they have a distorted self-image. My image looks better to me than it does to you. Like the thought of myself looks better to me than it does to you. And typically a narcissist is going to have an inflated sense of superiority, grandiose ideas, thoughts, and representations of who they are. This results in feeling entitled and manipulating other people because why wouldn't everyone serve the person who's the best person in the world? That kind of thought process, okay? Typically, you also have lack of empathy, so a narcissist doesn't really connect with your emotions, with your feelings, and when they do, oftentimes they refuse to acknowledge them. The majority of the time why narcissists refuse to acknowledge your feelings is because oftentimes your feelings seem to be a reflection of their actions. You feel bad because he just screamed at you. Well, the narcissist isn't going to admit that, and the narcissist isn't going to acknowledge that you feel bad that he screamed at you, because that would validate the fact that he screamed at you, and would validate the fact that the reason why you're crying is because he screamed at you. So again, like we're seeing like a trend here of like understanding like if there's a moment of like, wait a second, like let me actually connect with this person emotionally. Wait a second, if I do that, that's going to reflect bad on me. Yeah, can't do that. Okay. Understanding it's all circular, goes back to the narcissist, okay? But that piece of empathy as well. Need for constant admiration, like they always want the attention, admiration. A narcissist wants you to serve them and adore them at the same time. That's basically what it is, okay? But a narcissist tends to view people as objects. Like you are a transaction to the narcissist. So a lot of care has to do with what you're actually providing and what you're giving to the narcissist. Don't believe me? Ask your narcissist in your life, hey, what do you love about me? Well, I just love how much you love me. It's amazing how like a lot of times the conversation turns back around on the narcissist loving themselves vicariously through telling you that you love them. It's crazy, but that's what it comes down to. Because the majority of the time you're with someone that doesn't have a whole lot of depth to them. That's very shallow, but has tried to convince you because of telling you about past vulnerable things and past abuse that they're a vulnerable person when they actually haven't communicated anything about themselves at all. Or anything they've communicated has just been false. So they tend to show love and affection at the beginning of the relationship, but it's oftentimes to gain control and manipulate their victims. Okay, so once you consider, I was talking to someone, and this one person was in a relationship with a narcissist for 2 years. At the beginning of the relationship, like he showed her like the world. Besides the gifts and affection, travel, like all these different things, like really made time like seem to stop. Of like this is the most amazing relationship ever. But like as time goes on, like he started to be more controlling, more emotionally abusive, like controlling of like where she was, what she did, the money she spent, like all these little things. And then like she's left wondering, like, is the love that he's actually showing me, like, is this real? Or is this just a way of like him gaining control over her? And ultimately it was, we were able to get her out of it. But like, that's like the thought process of it. It feels like that at the very beginning. So we have to understand this concept of like narcissist love. Okay, while you experience love a certain way, and while you have a definition of love, it's completely different for a narcissist. Like your version of love and their version of love are not the same. For instance, my version of love, like growing up, was something that looked more like control and conformity. Like if you look like me, if you do what I tell you to do, then that's an aspect of love because I'm quote unquote protecting you. I'm being there for you. I'm caring for you because I'm also controlling you. And that was something that I viewed, that I thought, that I exemplified, that I actually put into place with multiple girlfriends that fall apart because it's not. But I thought it was in the moment. I just didn't have the words to be able to describe it. It's not the same as how you experience love. Like narcissists view love oftentimes as a transactional experience. Like I give you love in order to receive something in return. The thing with the narcissist is like, wait a second, if I can keep giving you less and less and I keep getting more and more, sounds like a good investment, right? Like if I could put less money in and get more money out, like that would be a pretty cool investment. And so for a narcissist, they're like, let me reduce the amount of affection and attention that I give you and have you keep groveling for my attention and affection. And as you do that, you're coming back to me and it makes me feel good. It makes me feel powerful. It makes me feel, whatever it might be. Okay. But that control piece of like, hey, now you actually want me. Narcissists want you to want them, but they also don't want to actually put stuff out there where they want you. Because then it looks like you're in control of them. Like it's all this power play and this power dynamic of like the narcissist has to be in control over you. Okay? Like they love the idea of being in love. Like the idealization of like having the perfect relationship or perfect like connection with another person like seems amazing. And a lot of times you have narcissists that are seeking that or searching for it or getting involved in the chase of like, let me move forward, let me capture this person's heart. But then the problem is, then they have that person, they don't know what to do with them because they capture them with a shallow version of themselves. They capture them with a mask, and then they're like, wait a second, if the relationship is going to get any deeper, I have to actually take the mask off. No can do. Time to move on to the next person because this relationship just wasn't for me. Let me find someone else who actually loves me, who actually cares about me. All these things, okay? Sometimes it's just that status piece of chasing someone, being in a relationship. A lot of times you don't find narcissists, you do with some coverts and vulnerable, but a lot of times you don't find narcissists that are alone for a long period of time. It's like, no, I need someone. I need that constant attention, validation, interaction things. So typically you have a relationship with a narcissist, it's superficial, and it's just based on needs and desires. So I did a video recently on YouTube that was the 4 ways that narcissists love you, and going into that would give you a lot of clarity. Narcissists love typically what you give them, what you provide, and that's really like the baseline of it all. But I want to be able to just throw that out there too, okay? So understanding that a lot of times you think that the narcissist in your life loves you, but it's only when you actually fulfill his needs. Like when you make him look good, then you're like, oh, this is what's actually happening. And then he gets to the place where he's like, I don't want you anymore. I moved on. I'm now with someone else. Or you find out that he's been cheating. And it starts to make you wonder, wait a second, like, was I not good enough? But I need you to understand is it didn't have anything to do with you. It only had to do with the narcissist and the flavor of the day that he wanted in that moment. Okay, so no matter how much more you could have ramped up your affection, your caring, the amount of connection, the amount of sex that y'all had together, it wouldn't have changed anything. It might have ramped up or slowed down the time frame of the same thing that happened, but it wouldn't have changed the outcome. Most people don't understand that. The third thing I want to be able to touch on is just the narcissist's actions. The actions of a narcissist speak louder than words. You've heard actions speak louder than words. 100% true. And when you're dealing with a narcissist, that's all you can go off of. Not their words, not anything else, but just their actions. A lot of times I use the word demonstrate. That's one of my favorite ones when it comes to narcissists. Someone's like, but he loves me. And I'm like, okay, how does he demonstrate love on a day-to-day basis? Well, he came home and he provided for me. And I'm like, is that what you believe or is that what he told you? And she's like, well, that's what he told me. And I'm like, exactly. We can get a trained monkey to be able to provide, to be able to work, and to be able to provide money. A lot of men out there think that because they just provide and just because they walk in the door that they're somehow successful at being a father or being a husband. When in reality, that's like the base level of how they should actually be showing up as a man. And for all those that are pissed off at me, I don't really care. Because that's who I was. I was the one that did that. I was the one that showed up and I was like, well, at least I'm showing up. I was cheating. I was a liar. I was unfaithful. But in my mind, I'm like, well, at least I'm showing up because I thought I was a good person, which is a bunch of bullshit. Okay? So people out there that are like, but he's showing up for me. Or all the men out there that, but I'm showing up for her. Really? That's not really enough. So you need to grow up. Anyways, side note. Narcissist action, it comes down to what they actually demonstrate. While a narcissist says they love you, their actions are going to show something different. Narcissists often use love as a tool to be able to manipulate and control you. So they're going to engage with gaslighting, lying, cheating, and all these things that are not consistent with actual love. Okay, so I want you to consider like Sarah. Sarah was in a relationship with a narcissist for, I think it was like 2.5 years, and he told her that he loved her, right? Like he told her like, this is something, love, absolutely, and said that would never leave her, was always connected. They interacted a lot, lots of texting, lots of interaction at the beginning, but then he disappeared. Like he just like ghost her and be like, where'd you go? Oh, like my phone died. Like, oh, I was away from work. Oh, like, and all these excuses every single time. But then figured out over a period of time that he was actually cheating on her multiple times. But when she brought it up, like he denied it. He was like, no, that's not true. And she had to get to the place. Like it took a while for her to like mentally like make the switch because it was so like incongruent with what he was saying and doing versus like what was actually happening there. And so even though he cheated on her multiple times, like she still was with him multiple times because of the fact that he would say, oh, I love you so much. I was thinking about you, all this kind of stuff, like crazy stuff. Okay. But then she finally got to the place where she realized his actions are not consistent with the love that he claimed to be able to feel for her. And so ultimately it ended up like her leaving the relationship, being able to move free, and now she's happy and moving on because like the focus was like, I have to get free from the toxicity that's holding me back. If you're at the place where you've heard this and you want to take your healing to the next level, I want you to join the 45-day Clarity Challenge. Go to claritychallenge.net to read up about it, to see what we're actually trying to do here. We're trying to be able to invest in you, and we're trying to be able to have a consistent daily practice where you log in, where you consume content and you consume words and you consume like actually daily assignments and interaction with other survivors. This like habit helps you invest in you on a consistent basis. You haven't had a chance to be able to figure out self-care. You haven't had a chance to be able to figure out who you are. You feel lost after the relationship. You feel like you're stuck in the fog, like you don't know what to do, like you don't know to believe his actions or his words, what to do. You feel like you're in limbo. Like go to the 45-day Clarity Challenge, claritychallenge.net. In this aspect, you're going to learn a systematic process to break free, not just one time, but every time for the story that you tell yourself. Rewire your thought process and find the truth of you and the truth that you've been seeking. You're going to rediscover yourself. You're going to take back your power. And instead of serving the narcissist, you're going to move forward in your healing to move into a growth mindset. So go to claritychallenge.net today. There's a couple of days left to be able to sign up as we try to start everybody all together because you get the most benefit when you're walking through with other survivors. Go to claritychallenge.net.